On today's podcast, we dive into Manchester City's dramatic slump. Is this the beginning of the end for Pep Guardiola's empire? Can the mastermind rally his team back to their former dominance, or are the cracks simply too deep to repair? We'll also shift focus to a familiar face, former City coach and now Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca. His side has impressed this season, sitting in third and only 2 losses this season, both to the teams above him. Could Chelsea be the dark horses in this year's title race? Let's get into it.
Attacking football.
Attacking football.
Attacking football.
Attacking football.
And welcome to the podcast. This week we have Liam back on after last week. How was the bet with LA? He doesn't seem to have shown up this week.
I retired the man. I generally retired the man. But
yeah, and we have a new face this week. We have a resident Chelsea fan here. Chris, how are you?
Great, no, looking forward to this.
And of course we have Alfie, ever present in the producer chair. How are you, Alfie?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. It's good to be back.
So basically, Manchester City, the team that have dominated the Premier League for so long, they've gone 6 games without a win, and they got battered by Spurs. Liam, give us your thoughts.
I mean, that's like nothing new. They get battered by us anyway. Even if they win the Premier League, they're always going to get battered by us. But I think there's more concerning things than losing to Spurs for City right now.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think the Roger injury has been a major factor?
I mean, obviously Dylan was talking about Dylan wrote an article to say about it, so check that out if you can. But I think it's more than just Rodri, to be honest. I think there's a lot of key players they've lost just in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, 100%. And Alfie, you're a Man United fan. How's the City downfall been for you?
I'm absolutely buzzing. We're still awful. But that doesn't matter. I'm absolutely buzzing. Haven't won in 6. Haven't won in the whole of November. But for me, I think that the game against Feyenoord was like the pinnacle, because to be 3-0 up and to still throw it away, that's arguably worse than even the Tottenham result, the Sporting result. Because to be 3-0 up and throw it away at home is just embarrassing.
Yeah, I think it was LA who said it last week, or something about Manchester City's squad. It's like one of the oldest squads in the league, and City are like known for being the money oil team, and they didn't really spend much in the summer.
Need to start spending now.
So do you think they might need to dip into the transfer market?
Absolutely. I mean, who did they sign in the summer? I mean, they signed Savinho, didn't they? Right?
Yeah, I think that's all they signed.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, if we're going to be realistic, I said they've lost some key players in the last 2 seasons. Savinho is a downgrade on Raheem Sterling. Let's just get that out.
And Gundogan, sorry, weren't it? Gundogan as well.
They brought Gundogan back.
Yeah, but like they signed Gundogan, but they signed Gundogan after he retired, basically, because he's done nothing.
Yeah.
He has no legs. Like, he
They
can't
brought
play
back
football.
a worse version of Gundogan. I thought it was going to go well for them.
They sent him to Barcelona. He got his Zimmer frame when he came back.
Yeah, and he's still fucking starting for him. Like, it's absurd. Yeah. I think the big one is Savinho is 100% a downgrade on Raheem Sterling. At least Manchester City form Raheem Sterling. That's one important player they've already lost, you know.
Well, and he looked promising at the start of the season as well.
He did. I mean, he absolutely fucking destroyed Chelsea. If you remember,
destroyed us. It's horrible. It's like watching Riyad Mahrez again.
But he hasn't really kicked on. He's had some glimpses, but output wise, he hasn't really kicked on. Like,
yeah,
considering the amount of goals Raheem Sterling scored for Man City, Savinho is like is dirt under Pep Guardiola's shoe.
He still hasn't scored from Savinho. He still hasn't scored.
He still hasn't. Yes, the output isn't there.
Yeah, he got like 3 assists in like his first 4 games or something, didn't he? And he's kind of slowed down ever since.
Yeah, he's got 0 goals.
But I think, just talking about the players City have lost, City had a few goal-scoring wingers over the last few seasons. They had obviously Raheem Sterling, they had Riyad Mahrez, they had Leroy Sané, and if you look at the squad now, I mean, Foden is so hot and cold when it comes to goals. Obviously, Savinho hasn't even scored for them yet, so that's one area they're already lagging behind in, I guess, with goal-scoring wingers.
I think that they sold Julian Alvarez and just decided not to replace him, even though they got like 80-odd million for him.
I mean, yeah, how much does Savinho cost again? It was
40, like 30, 40 mil.
30, 40 mil. That's what I mean. Like, I know they're an oil team, but even then, their net spend is still positive from the last summer. Like, so Where's the money going?
And did they even sign Savinho, because they literally bought him off the team that they own, so
bought-
they just sent themselves money.
Just a money
It's almost like a bit of arrogance. It's like, oh, we won't sign anyone this season.
Yeah.
We still go
Yeah.
win the league handily. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They probably would have expected that, the likes of Kyle Walker and Kevin De Bruyne would show up like they always did for them this season, and neither player has really done much this season compared to like Kyle Walker's been getting absolutely rinsed week in, week out nowadays, and De Bruyne came off the bench versus City against Spurs, like, so just that's two key players from the last few seasons that have really gone downhill.
Yeah. Do you think that arrogance has been one of the reasons why they haven't been performing, where they just, like, we say it every year, we're like, oh, City, they can't go and win 2 in a row, they can't go and win 3 in a row,
Yeah.
they can't go and win 4 in a row. And so we always say that the wheels have to fall off eventually, but they just keep going. Do you think finally the arrogance has caught up to them?
I don't think City would have expected such a challenge this season, because obviously Pep knows how to deal with Arsenal. Pep has dealt with it, but I don't think he was expecting the likes of Arne Slot and even Enzo Maresca to come in and challenge him. So I feel like Pep didn't see any kind of challenge this season, and then because Arne Slot was in his first season as manager, so was Enzo Maresca, and now both have showed up and they're starting to creep up on him. Like,
Yeah, like even like people used to say City have like 3 squads, but now, like, look at their squad now. Like, they had games where they had like 2 senior players on the bench, like, and their squad depth is just terrible now.
I just read some of their names off the bench versus Spurs real quick. You had Yahami Simpson, Jacob Rice, James McAtee, Nico O'Reilly.
Yeah, I don't think only City, mostly only City fans will know who most of them are. As I
James McAtee, wasn't he playing for Sheffield last
yeah,
week?
he's one of like the only
McAtee, to be fair now, but
yeah, and your man
they're
Simpson.
strong, their depth is strong in defense, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like one of them positions you kind of need depth there, because they've literally played 4 centre backs every game,
Yeah,
and they've
But
got,
to be fair, they've lost players, like obviously quality players, but they've also lost a lot of leaders. Like Diaz is gone, De Bruyne's gone, Stones is gone, Rodri obviously. Like
Yeah.
they're lads who've won 3, 4 Premier Leagues on the bounce. They know how to get it done, but when you've only got them half fit coming off the bench for the last 20 minutes, Rodri probably won't see him for the season. Like, it's hard for players like Kovacic to step up when he's never had to try and lead the team before. Or Nathan Ake, he's never had to try and lead them. He's always had Diaz to get him go and get him. Like, if he makes a mistake, Diaz is the one to pick him back up again.
and you didn't mention Kyle Walker, right? That's another player they've lost. Kyle Walker is starting week in, week out, but they've lost. It's better off he's not starting almost with the way he's playing. Like,
Yeah.
It's like Gundogan. It's just
Yeah.
completely different player.
well, I just wonder what the thought process was behind bringing Gundogan back. Honestly, I just don't understand this.
to me, it kind of felt like maybe because Pep's contract situation, he had a year left. The club didn't know if Pep was going to stay, so they didn't want to go out.
Give him Gundogan. Give him Gundogan.
No, they didn't want to go out and spend like 60, 70 odd million on players when they didn't know if Pep was going to be there. And
The
then
next manager might not like
the
them,
next
so-
manager might not like them.
Yeah.
So I wonder if getting Gundogan back was like it was a safe play. It was a former Pep player, a player who played well under Pep before. Let's get him back. It was like a risk-free situation there from the ownership point of view.
Yeah, but I mean, then looking at it now, it's not. It's a big risk now because he's starting week in, week out, and he's obviously not as good as he used to be.
And Pep signed a 2-year contract.
And yeah, that's true.
Yeah, now Pep signed the contract. Do you think that I don't know who said it, but there was a famous phrase like, if you have to buy in January, something has already gone wrong. Do you think Manchester City are at that point? They might need to go and spend big in January.
I
They're
mean,
gonna have to. They're gonna have to.
Pep Guardiola is actively harming himself. I think they have to do something. That poor man is going to put himself in a mental asylum.
They need
Like,
someone.
Who
Who
do
they
they spend
go for?
big?
What was that?
Maybe not big, but who do they even go for in January?
Yeah, January is always a tough window to go out and
Yeah.
sign players.
I mean, I remember, for example, under Conte when things were pretty bad in the winter, we signed, for example, we brought in the likes of Bentancur and Kulusevski in a January window,
Yeah,
which were bad. But the thing is, both of those were loans at the time. They turned into options to buy, but they were loans. So even then, they were still low risk signings.
Yeah.
So I reckon you might see a few deals from City kind of akin to that, where it'd be like loan with option to buy, loan with obligation to buy.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, they didn't spend in the previous summer like we was talking about, so they've probably got a fair bit of money to spend.
Yeah, they're definitely in a positive budget, especially after signing Alvarez.
Yeah, he was like 80 million odd, weren't he?
Yeah.
What the fuck were Atletico Madrid thinking with that?
Yeah, they didn't really spend last. They bought Guardiola, and that was pretty much it. I know I say pretty much it, but it was like 100 million, wasn't it?
It's only Guardiola, boys.
Only Guardiola, but that was their only signing last summer?
Was Guardiola really last summer? Was Guardiola not?
Vardy was the season before.
Was
Yeah,
it?
Guardiola summer before. This summer, I don't think they even they brought in Savinho, and that was it.
Yeah, the
And
previous summer
Gundogan as
and
well.
Gundogan, like we said, yeah. But Vardy was the season before, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. The season before, was Guardiola the only signing they made that year?
I believe so. Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else.
Mateus Nunes.
Oh yeah, he did brought Mateo. Yeah, but like,
Who's only starting to come good now, and even at that, is he really good?
He's not really starting to come
And
good.
Kovacic as well.
Been better than he was.
Kovacic as well. Kovacic was that summer.
Yeah.
Coach stuff as well, yeah. But the thing is, most of these players, I mean, most of these players aren't really starting from looking at City starting midfield against Spurs. It was Rico Lewis, Gundogan, and Silva. Are these players really that good signings if you're bringing in a fucking retirement home Ilkay Gundogan into the side? They can't be that good if they're getting benched by a fucking geriatric.
Yeah,
Kovacic was out though. Was Kovacic out for Tottenham?
Kovacic's out for a few weeks now, I think.
Doku was out as well, and Doku was signing the same summer.
Oh, they signed Doku last season as well.
Doku, yeah.
They signed a fair few.
Yeah, like they're.
But it's kind of the same thing I was saying earlier. Like Doku and Savinho are both. They both have their moments where they show like, oh, look at us, we're very good at football. But output wise, their numbers are so hot and cold. Same with Foden as well.
Yeah, like their transfers haven't really been great. Like of the last 2 seasons, we only really say Guardiola has been made a success.
But even the first 3 or 4 months, he wasn't that good.
He wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't even that good
every time.
No, that's true.
Like you're getting people calling him 100 million flop after the first few months, and then he became good.
I mean, any player with 100 million price tag is going to be branded as a flop for a while, no matter how good they play. To be honest.
Yeah, like Anthony.
Yeah.
Okay, no, Alfie, you fucking knew Alfie was going to say it.
Goddamn Anthony, man.
He's doing wing back shifts now.
And Vardy's been poor again recently, hasn't he? He was poor against Tottenham. He was poor against Feyenoord in the week.
Yeah, City's defense in general hasn't been as great as you'd expect it to be.
Yeah.
Maybe Guardiola stuck out a little more because he somehow has the finish of a centre forward.
Sorry, just going back to that winger point for a sec, but I'm just looking at it here. Phil Foden hasn't scored in. He scored against Sporting, but in the Premier League, he hasn't scored in it's 5 games. From what I can see, 5 games.
Foden hasn't scored all season in the league.
6 games, 7 games.
Yeah, 9.
Foden hasn't done anything in front of goal in the Premier League this season.
That's Foden and Savinho, who both haven't scored all season in the Premier League, which is awful.
Yeah, that's such a drop off. You used to have Raheem Sterling going into the 100 club for City, and then you had Riyad Mahrez, and then you had Leroy Sané on the bench as well.
Yeah.
If you took if you took Haaland out of that team, you genuinely don't see where the goals are coming from.
Nah.
Genuinely can't see anywhere the goals come from. You took him out last season, you'd say Alvarez will chip in, Foden probably score 2. But this season, it's just dire. You don't know where the goals are coming from.
And even Haaland now he's missing easy chances that you'd expect him to score like 9.9 times out of 10.
Yeah. I wonder is it a mentality thing at the club that they just feel they must be tired, surely, because obviously to win
there's got to be some
4 on the bounce is ridiculous.
City are victims of their own success, really, because they sold like Julian Alvarez left because he wasn't getting enough game time because the squad was too good. Leroy Sané used to be on the bench, and now if you look at it right now, Pep Guardiola would bite your hand off to get Leroy Sané or Julian Alvarez back in that side.
Yeah.
So they sold so much players and they were good, and now that they're starting to drop off, those players are sorely missed.
Yeah, like with Haaland, he He scored 10 goals in the first 5 games, and ever since he's only had 2 in the rest of the games.
I mean, who's creating chances for Haaland right now?
Probably be Bernardo Silva, probably, because
Bernardo.
De Bruyne's been out
Bernardo.
injured.
But even then, Bernardo, I mean, obviously he's very good. Like, Bernardo more creates chances for himself than anything, not.
Yeah.
And I feel like Haaland's just missing that, missing Kevin De Bruyne, I guess. Someone to just put everything on a plate for him.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying Haaland would be terrible without Kevin De Bruyne, but he would be a lot better if he had a Kevin De Bruyne type player.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Do you think they're like a City? They kind of have a lot of injuries. Like they've got Kovacic and Rodri who are like their main like defensive midfielders. Do you think they can like turn around their form with Rico Lewis and Gundogan?
No,
I
absolutely not.
think Lewis has been so poor recently. I think it's just too much for him though. I think it is a big ask. I know he is quite experienced already. He's not the most experienced, but I'm saying he's probably played close to what 90, 80 games for City now. I reckon.
I mean, Pep threw him in and thought he was going. He couldn't have thought he was going to do what Rodri was doing. Let's be real.
Yeah, he's played 69 games for City now, Rico Lewis. So it's not like he's a randomer. Everyone knows him.
He's not Rodri. He's just not Rodri.
Yeah.
No, he's
and
nowhere near.
he's
Nobody
nowhere
is. Like the closest thing they're going to get to Rodri, and this is going to break Scott's heart. If they go out and sign Zubimendi in January, that's the only way they'll get close to Rodri.
Yeah.
Look, if Manchester City gets Zubimendi, I think Fatali will be the most heartbroken man of all time.
That man would genuinely lose his fucking mind. You don't know about it. Mo is an attacking football member who spends about roughly a month writing an article about Zubimendi going to Liverpool, and then obviously the deal fell through and the article never got published.
Yeah, I think he was also doing a YouTube script as well for a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and he put countless hours of research into it.
I helped him write that. I helped him write that script.
And then Zubimendi said the Spanish mountains were better than Pop World in Liverpool. So there we have it. So Manchester City, they're currently 8 points behind the top of the Premier League, and they play Liverpool on Sunday, and they could go 11 points. At this moment, before that game, do you think Manchester City are still in the title race?
I mean, it's hard. You can't count them out yet from where they are. Like it.
They're still second at the end of the day, aren't they?
They're still second. Like if you replaced City with Arsenal, right, just switch them around for a sec, in the same positions, you would say Arsenal were in the title race.
What about you, Chris?
If City lose on Sunday, it's over, 100%.
So you think if they go to Anfield and they don't get 3 points or they don't get a draw or something, if they lose?
If they get a draw, it's probably if the first team to lose. But if Liverpool win on Sunday, that's it. Wrap it up. City are in a battle for top 4. That's it.
So do you think City are the only threat to Liverpool?
Yeah, Arsenal can creep in and out, but
Is
City are the ones that are going to push Liverpool.
Is there another team? Maybe show us your shirt. Maybe.
No.
He's not going to say it, Scott.
He's not going to say it, so I'm going to say it. Chelsea, they're third in the table. They're only 1 point behind Manchester City. They've only lost 2 games, and both of them games have been against the 2 teams above them. Could Chelsea just be a dark horse in this title race?
No
way.
Don't think so.
He wants to believe it. He believes it. He just doesn't.
100% in my heart, I want to believe it, and I would love to see us go on a title charge. Even our next couple of games, they're nice fixtures. They're not easy because no game in the Prem is easy realistically, but they're comfortable fixtures. Even that is it's gonna make a lot of people look and say, "Wow, they can do it." But I still think this Liverpool side is just so far clear of Chelsea at the minute. Now, maybe next season after, 100%, there's something building there. There definitely is something building, and it will come like a train at one stage, but not this season.
I think it's the season or never, actually, because I think Man City aren't going to lose a Premier League title and not respond to it.
But,
yeah.
But
Liverpool are only going to get better as well. Liverpool are only going to get better. This is our first season.
if we're saying City aren't going to respond to it, we've just listed out a load of players there that number one aren't playing well, number two are aging, and number two they're injury prone. At the moment, Chelsea aren't. The players are playing well at the minute, bar a couple. I'm sure we'll get on to them. It's a young team, and it's a young manager who's still full and fresh of ideas. Like, we haven't seen half of what Maresca's capable of yet. We've seen snippets of him changing it up, but
we haven't seen half what Arne Slot is capable of either.
that's true. But
Arne Slot is been around the same time as Maresca. And just for the record, I'm going to go on record and say it now. Enzo Maresca is a better manager than Arne Slot. I think Enzo Maresca is probably the best manager in the Premier League, in my opinion.
That is a very bold take.
That is a bold take. I mean, I will say, Pep, like, looking over the years, Pep Guardiola is probably the best manager in the Premier League. But with the way things are going right now, I think it's Enzo Maresca, personally. I think Enzo Maresca has inherited a worse side than Arne Slot did. They came in the same season, just remember. He inherited a worse squad, an absolute shambles of a team, of a board, a shambles of a club, really. And he's competing.
yeah, but
You can look at
100%.
the money.
Enzo's a special manager, a special manager, and he's got quality players there, and he's getting way more out of them than Poch did last season, and it's great to see. But I just don't think it's this season. I really don't. There's just Liverpool are too good this season. Now, you'd probably need Liverpool to have a honker next season for them to go any worse. But
I'm
with the way
actually
they are with Salah, Van Dijk, Trent, it's all up in the air at the minute. Like,
yeah, I'm actually going to take it back. I think Chelsea will compete next season because they have Enzo Maresca.
Yeah.
I think with the side he's inherited, the side he still has currently, he's done absolute wonders.
Yeah, I agree. If you go back to the prediction spot, I think I'm literally at Chelsea in 10th or something. I couldn't see where they were going when they decided, let's get a championship manager in. Let's put him in charge of this squad. And like, even at Leicester, they were like nearly 25 points above, and they nearly bottled the championship, being like 20 points ahead. And I just didn't really see the logic of bringing a manager like that in. But he's 100% proved me wrong. And I think what Chris said about like the fixtures, Chelsea have good fixtures coming up. They have Spurs and Villa, and then after that it's like
Spurs.
We're a good
Spurs.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Spurs and Villa are like they're two tough fixtures, and then after that they kind of have, like, you'd expect Chelsea to pick up maximum points and rest. And I think one of the big things with Slot this season was that I remember being on social media, people were saying, "Oh, Liverpool haven't played anyone," and I think that's a big reason why we are where we are, because when you play those easy fixtures and you can build momentum, and if Chelsea can build that momentum, I think that come February we could be talking about Chelsea. They might not reach it, but they could be like Liverpool last season, where they're in and around it until like March, April, and then they just drop off because they're not right at the level. But I think they could be in and around the area.
Okay.
I think this time next year, or even when it comes to doing predictions at the start of next season, everybody will be probably putting Chelsea top 2, top 3 maybe. But I'd say we're more likely to win the league next season than we are to win it this season.
Okay, before you guys go on a rant, because I got cut off by Scott like 2 minutes. Spurs are an easy fixture. Spurs are an easy fixture for Chelsea. That's
the Spurs aren't. That's a nothing game.
You've Scott, you have had a stinker of a take there. Spurs are an easy fixture for Chelsea. It doesn't matter what Spurs.
I'm more scared of Ipswich at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, no, I'm a Spurs fan. You can probably see a scar from background somewhere. I'm a Spurs fan. Spurs are the easiest fucking fixture Chelsea will ever play any season.
I mean, it depends what Spurs show, because one week they
it
go.
Doesn't, Scott, no, it doesn't.
One week they win 4-0. The next week they lose to Ipswich.
Scott, like, the fucking the double winning side who won the Europa League and FA Cup could show up. They would still lose to this Chelsea side because it's the history.
The history of the Tottenham.
It's just a history of Spurs and Chelsea. Ever since Battle of the Bridge, which I don't want to talk about that, but ever since Battle of the Bridge, that fixture has never gone any other way aside from a Chelsea victory. Look at last season. Like,
and that was with Pochettino.
That was with fucking Podge. I miss Podge. I still miss Podge, but anyway.
Like, Maresca he's more tactic and his big toe than Podge has in his head.
Maresca is an absolute mad genius. Some of the things he's done, I remember at the start of the season he had like Malo Gusto playing alongside the front four. He had Cucurella in midfield. He's an absolute madman, and I love him. I
Put
love
it this
Enzo.
way, Maresca's that good. He got Barry Sheila to put in the best centre back performance I've ever seen Barry Sheila put in at the weekend. And
This is what I
do
mean
not.
about that Chelsea side that he inherited. It's a much worse side than Liverpool. Liverpool had Canase, Van Dijk, even Kwanzaa, and they had Trent as well. That Chelsea back line, he had Badashile, Colwill, Fofana, Cucurella, fucking half fit Reece James, barely, and also Malo Gusto, who was very unproven. And look at the job he's done. Even looking at like Enzo and Caicedo, he's improved both those players so much.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like even like last season, you had people they'd be memeing about like Darwin Núñez and Nicholas Jackson, but now this season Nicholas Jackson he's actually putting the ball in the net.
Yeah, top three strikers in the Prem. Based off this season, he is a top three striker in the Prem.
Okay, so
how many goals does he have at the moment? He has eight. He has seven. He has 7 in the Premier League and 3 assists.
Talking about Nicholas Jackson play. Nicholas Jackson wasn't that bad last season either.
He wasn't at all. No, absolutely not.
He wasn't, but yeah, he had the moments where he's very erratic in front of goal.
He wasn't as fine tuned as he is as he looks so far this season. Like that, he took his goal against West Ham with the outside of the boot beautifully. Same against Leicester at the weekend. He seems to have a bit more confidence in front of goal, and he's just fine tuned his finishing just that little bit more that he needed.
But that Chelsea attack has been absolutely even. You have players like Madueke and Felix as well, who I'd say under Pochettino they would be putting up like probably 2 goals a season, because that's just how Chelsea attackers go. But he has that attack completely firing with the way he set it up.
Yeah, I mean it sounds silly to say, seeing as if LA was here, he'd be saying they've got 50,000 players, they don't need any more.
None of those players are good.
But like if Chelsea, if you say Chelsea aren't quite there for the title, what next season? Who do they need to sign to get to that level? Like what positions?
A centre back that can compete with Colwill and Fofana, 100%.
Yeah,
I'd snap your hand off with a Sergio Ramos or Matt Hummels for this season. If we could go back in time and sign Thiago Silva when we signed them, but put him now, we definitely. I'd tip us for
Sergio Ramos.
But that's what we need. We need an experienced
Sergio Ramos.
Yeah, I'm telling you. We need an experienced defender.
I would sacrifice so many things to see Sergio Ramos in the Premier League. It would be. Give me like just give me prime Sergio Ramos in the Premier League. It would have been. Alfie's celebrating here, but anyway, we'll go back to the podcast. Someone just scored for United.
In the first minute.
Oh well.
Again.
Anyway.
Okay, well, I mean, I want to talk about other title challenging teams. Man United, no, that's not.
No.
That's not.
I think we are, to be honest. But anyway, come
Alfie, you're 15 points off. Just calmer.
How many games is there left? 26.
Yeah.
So what? There's 70. Is that 78? 78 points up to grab. Let's not talk about.
Alfie, shut up, man.
Come on, lad.
Also, obviously, for viewers who don't know, Alfie's camera is on for us. He has the Manchester United game right in the background behind us. That's why we were reacting, because we can see the United game on his camera.
Yeah,
he's a bit of a lazy producer.
Lads, I'm locked in. Don't you worry, I'm locked in.
With the Chelsea squad, do you think I feel like that you need another? I know you just signed Pedro Neto and Sancho, but I feel like you need another like goal scoring winger.
But there's no point going spending money on a goal scoring winger when next season Estevao and Kendrick Payas look like 2 of the best footballers of all time so far.
Bro, he's been reading the fucking invert the wing threads.
No.
You have been. I've seen the thread. I know what it is. I know where you got that from.
No, I didn't even read the thread. But judging by some of the stuff coming out of South America, them 2 boys look. Now, obviously, it's a lot different, but when you're getting comparisons to Vinicius, Neymar, Rodrigo, surely they can't be too wrong.
Looking at Chelsea's academy, they sold their best academy player. They gave Spurs their best academy player.
Solanke.
No, Jude Simpson-Bell.
Oh, sounds up, yeah.
Last
Exactly.
like
He's a
that,
baller.
I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that. Because last season he was Premier League 2 player of the season. I think he was definitely Premier League 2 team of the season.
He was a baller in the academy, to be fair.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me why they would sell him to a rival.
Sure, it didn't make sense to get rid of De Bruyne at the time, Salah. There's a lot of things in Chelsea history
Yeah.
that don't make
But
sense at
could you
all.
imagine
It's
those?
amount.
Could you imagine the academy players you just mentioned now alongside Sunset Bell as well?
The European domination.
Yeah,
That's the only word for it. We would be Real Madrid. Like, we'd have Carlo Ancelotti in the dugout and everything, just flicking eyebrows every now and again.
Bring Carlo back to Chelsea.
No, that's not that. I'm happy with that. No.
The magic
Carlo last
eyebrow.
night, absolutely not.
The magic eyebrow.
No, we'll keep our ball, man. Thanks.
So I feel like if I'm bringing up Chelsea as dark horse in title race, I feel like we need to maybe speak briefly about Arsenal. I mean, they haven't really, like, Arsenal fans will tell you that they've had injury problems. I don't think they've had that many injury
You've got a
problems.
Spurs fan and a Chelsea fan to talk about
Arsenal. Yeah,
Arsenal. You really think this is going to
thought
go
he was
well?
gonna start talking about
No, well,
Spurs.
it's only going to be like 1 or 2 minutes. So like,
they definitely should be competing. Like, they've gone at it long enough now, and especially since City have fallen away, they have to show they can compete. Obviously, losing Odegaard was huge for them. That was nearly on par with City losing Rodri. Probably
Yeah.
more important than City losing Rodri. But there's still no excuses. You have to have. Surely they would have learned by now that gotta have squad depth, and they need a striker. Like, I'm sorry, Havertz. No, I'm thankful for all he did for the club. He won us the Champions League, and Gabriel Jesus has won Premier Leagues. He scored many goals at City, but the two of them cannot be your striking options going into the second half of the season. They nearly have to go get something in January.
Just actually talking about, I've never mentioned earlier about City being victims of their own success and selling players that they would have taken now. Jesus, I forgot to mention Jesus as well. Just forgot to mention that. Back to Chris. I honestly forgot that they signed him off City. I don't know why I forgot that.
Arsenal do definitely need a striker though. Have you seen that video of the Arsenal like they made a TikTok and they were asking Arsenal players when they go into the training ground what they'd want if they could pick one thing from their teammates, what would they want? So they're all doing like reasonable choices for their position. And then they ask Havertz and he says Saliba's defending. That's not what you want. You shouldn't want your striker having Saliba's defending. You should be asking for Saka's pace or something like that.
Kai Havertz, Chris, you know very well. Kai Havertz is a very special boy.
Arsenal,
he's a very good boy.
Kai Havertz is he's definitely a person, all right. He's
I love Kai Havertz.
He is an incredible footballer. I think he was incredibly misprofiled at Chelsea. I don't think he was a number 9 at all, and I don't think he's a number 9 in Arsenal. He's nearly number 10 or just playing off another striker. He is a special footballer, and he done unbelievable in the Bundesliga. Like
at Leverkusen, it was
unbelievable. But he's nearly like Nkunku. I don't see Nkunku as a flat out 9.
No, he's not.
He would thrive. I think Kai Havertz would thrive in this Enzo Maresca system, nearly with the 2 10s with Palmer, because Enzo's spoken that we might see Felix in with Palmer, or we might see Nkunku in with Palmer, kind of a flat 4 and a striker in front of him.
I think he would thrive in any team that's not Arsenal. He would thrive at Spurs for sure, because we have that whole double 2 number 8s Maresca going on for a while. I think he'd probably thrive at Man United as well, playing the Bruno Fernandes role. And he would definitely thrive at Liverpool, playing the Szoboszlai role as well.
But he's not a lead striker. He's not your 20 goal season striker everyone dreams of.
I think he will tell you as well, if Arsenal could sign anything, they sign it. They give him a striker so he can go back to his natural position. I think even he would want a striker.
Yeah. See, I think he's best as maybe like a false 9 type of striker. I remember when
I think he's best off further back. I think he's best off as like a number 10 and number 8 kind of.
I think he's a very good facilitator. I remember when he was at Leverkusen, he was my top pick to be like a Firmino replacement, and then Chelsea signed him. And I remember seeing Lampard playing him out with right wing, I was absolutely tearing my hair out, saying, "This is a quality player, and you are damagingly playing him on the wing."
Speaking about Frank Bird, welcome back, Frankie. Frankie's back. Today, Frank Lampard got the Coventry job over Mark Robbins, which is like hilarious. But anyway, Frankie's back, boys. So
yeah,
he should have stuck to playing football. He could have never managed it. He was great to get us out of a hole, and he produced some great academy products, and they're
Yeah,
all over Europe now. But oh my god, the football at times was horrible. Like,
I
I
don't
think
think Frank
Tuchel
Lampard
ball
was
was
bad at
even
managing
Tuchel ball was
like
so
United,
entertaining
like
compared to Lampard, just because it was something. Lampard had massive gaps in his midfield. We laid out in a circle. That's one stage. It was horrible. It was just a round circle with nobody in the middle. It's like how what?
I think right. Frank Lampard is an absolutely abysmal tactician, but when it comes to man management, I think he is a very good coach in that aspect.
I seen someone say, who was it? Was it Oz Chelsea on TikTok? I think it was. I don't want to get in the show, what I do, but he said he would have Frank Lampard back at the bridge as just upstairs, anywhere
Yeah.
upstairs, just to do something.
No, he's best
Incredible
on the
talent
pitch.
ID.
I don't feel he's a good manager, but he'd be a brilliant coach as like a part of Maresca's staff, for example, because he's fantastic at youth development, managing young players. Look at what he did for Mason Mount, for example, or even that Derby County side. A lot of Tommy Abraham as well. Big Frank Lampard, a big part in him as well.
Tamori, Reece James.
Big Tamori, Reece. Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like if you got him down as a first team coach, give him the Roy Kent job from Ted Lasso. I'll know what we mean.
So we've talked about Chelsea, we've talked about Arsenal, both on 22 points. And there's another team on 22 points. And Liam is a big fan of this man. Brighton with Fabian Hurtzler.
Oh, actually, yeah, I was going to, that's actually, yeah, but I was going to say you want to talk about Spurs, but no, I actually go into Brighton, was like, I said earlier, Enzo Maresca was the best manager in Premier League. I think Fabian Hurtzler is up there.
Do you think so?
Oh, yeah, no, I think he's 100% up there. I think the fact matter is I put Enzo Maresca in that mad genius kind of. Hurtzler is the same. Some of the shit he does when it comes to his build up, his pressing, and how old is Hurtzler again?
31.
31. I think he's come in. He's made that Brighton side better than they were under De Zerbi. Feel like absolute master tactician as well. I just can't.
Danny Welbeck scoring 6 goals a season, and he's 38 or 36.
I just can't see Brighton challenging for a Premier League though. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't think they'll challenge for a Premier League, but what about top 4? Do you think that could be a real possibility for them this season?
Honestly, if Arsenal keep up the current vein of form they're on, they could definitely challenge Arsenal for that top 4. Because I think the top 3 will be Liverpool, Chelsea, City. And then I think it'll be a throw out a toss up between Spurs, Arsenal, and Brighton. Because I see Aston Villa falling off with trying to manage Europe in the Premier League this season. I think a lot of people remember back ages ago when Nuno was manager of Wolves and they went into the Europa League. Their fall off after that campaign was massive. And then I feel like Aston Villa aren't going to go down as bad as Wolves did, but I think they will be probably in the Conference League area more than the top 4.
Yeah, so you think Arsenal might not even get Champions League?
I think the thing is Arsenal aren't in great form right now, obviously. I can't see them having a fix to get better though. I think right now there's not much they can do to improve. They can bring in a striker, but they're not going to go for a striker in January. They probably will. They might move for Gyökeres in the summer maybe, but they're not going to do anything that's going to change their form going into January, because I think their current form is not just a bad run of form. I think this is a lot of issues with Arteta's tactics coming to light.
That's a very bold take. I think most people had them top 2, and you're saying they could even come 5th.
I do think they will probably be top 4 by the end of the season, but they will cut it quite close, I'd say.
Okay. And
Chris, it's the same Yassine isn't here. Yassine is our number 1 Arsenal hater. He'll tell you the same. But like, how do you were saying with Man City about their bad run of form? How do Arsenal get out of this run of form?
I mean, they're slowly getting out, and they've got Odegaard back from injury now. But if he jumps out again, then they're kind of relying on him solely for creativity. It seems at the moment.
I mean, Oh yeah, I forgot they did hammer Nottingham Forest. To be fair, that is
Yeah, they've had
that
two.
is a really good result.
Could do with a winger, to be fair. Martinelli hasn't exactly.
Yeah, Martinelli
Like,
kind
he
of had
hasn't
like
kicked on at all.
he had like a false dawn at this season where you thought he was back to his best, and then he's not really been great since.
But like, yeah, that bad run of form kind of stems from the City. Remember that the absolutely bonkers Man City game. Because after that, you look at some of their fixtures. They beat Leicester and Southampton, but that wasn't actually as tight as that. Those were tight matches, and then they went on. They lost to Bournemouth, and then they had the Newcastle loss as well. So, but then again, when Odegaard came back, they had that 3-0 win over Forest, which is huge. Which is a huge win because Forest are a fantastic team this season, brilliant defensively, scoring 3 goals on them.
And
then 5 goals against Sporting as well.
Yeah.
So to be fair, they have turned that form around a bit. You are right.
So Arsenal still firmly, City and Arsenal still firmly in the title race. And what?
Challenge.
Yeah.
I think it's quite big to write them off already with 25, 26 games to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. And with Chelsea, Chris, do you think top 4 seems like it's like that should now be the goal?
Yeah, 100%. It was always the goal going into this season, but it was never hugely set in stone from what we've heard. It was always there's no pressure on Maresca this season, but you kind of always felt Chelsea had to get top 4, and especially with a whole other 11 for the Conference League. Like it's not like we were jam packed with fixtures, and even that 11 they're bloody good. Renato Viega, but yeah, 100%. At this moment in time, Chelsea should be looking at that top 4 and licking their lips because if you were to ask us, that top of the table, who would you rather play in the morning? It's probably City or Arsenal, and that's like Brighton are in thereabouts, and I think I'd rather play City in the morning. But it's just lucky we got City at the start of the season. We're fully fit.
You have like, I'd say, if we're gonna just count out Liverpool and City for a second, I mean, and you can't really count out City falling out of top right, but just for a second, you still have Chelsea, Arsenal, Brighton, Spurs, Aston Villa aren't far back, and Newcastle aren't actually far back either. Looking at where they are,
2 injuries, Newcastle, and their team's gone. Their team just dies like out of nowhere. Their team will just capitulate.
That's true with Newcastle, but I mean, they do have Isak back. Also, but they also lost 2-0 to fucking West Ham.
Yeah. That was my next point.
That's not a great indicator.
If you're getting spanked 2-0 by Julian, it's a rough day.
So I think that top 4 race is a 3-way toss-up between Arsenal and Spurs and Aston Villa, because I don't see Brighton sustaining what they're on as well currently.
You writing United off already, lads? All of you?
Yeah, I absolutely
am. Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, this is definitely, it's going to be a transition season for United. We've seen that against Ipswich, where like you weren't great, and I know it was only like a week into his career, Amarim's career, but like
I was surprised with the draw, to be honest. Before the game, I thought we was going to lose, so I was taking a draw.
If it wasn't from Andy, you would have lost.
The screenshots. You did not think you were going to lose.
Mate,
we have the group chat. I will leak the group chat. Don't.
I give it a big one before every game. It could be Anfield away, and I'll say we won 5-0.
If it wasn't for Nani, you would have lost. You would have been hammered.
I thought we were going to be lot. I thought we were going to lose after, because they came straight off the back of a win away to Tottenham. 2 weeks international break where most of them are together. We've come in, most of our players are away on international break. New gaffer, Holt, like you got some systems that are kind of the same formations, but to go straight into a 3-back, it's completely different. So I thought we were going to lose. So with a draw, I wasn't complaining too much.
Yeah, so I say, so to summarise, City and Arsenal still firmly in the title race. Chelsea not in the title race, but top 4 should be there, and Spurs just Spursing.
Why are we talking about Arsenal and Brighton? We are 3 points behind them, coming off a fucking hammering of Man City. Can we not just?
And you lost 3-1 to Ipswich 2 weeks before that. Like
they were only 3 points behind Tottenham.
Spursy.
Can I just talk about Spurs for like 2 minutes, please?
Oh, yeah, we can talk about Spurs.
Okay, so I actually think Spurs have come on we're 1-0 up, by the way. Let's go.
Anyway,
Spurs have come on a hell of a lot this season. I think they have managed a lot of their issues from last season real well. And like the thing is, they've gone to some huge teams and destroyed them. They destroyed United as much. They went to Aston Villa, ripped them apart. They went to City, ripped them apart. But I just think if they can shrug off those games, the likes of the Ipswich, the Crystal Palace games, and maybe get a decent run of form going, they have the manager and the players to be a top 4 contending side. It's just they've got to shrug off those fucking stupid losses.
I mean, I think that's kind of, I think on those losses, I think that might be why I kind of disregard Spurs, because you look at the table, like Brighton 2 losses, Arsenal 2 losses, Chelsea 2 losses, and then Spurs have 5. So it's like, and even though it's 12 games in and they're only 3 points behind those teams, it's kind of like over time, those losses rather than the draws that the other team are getting, those points can add up.
Yeah, like Spurs on their day will rip apart any team. It just depends if Spurs show up. And Spurs have had a couple. I mean, Van de Ven was out, Romero was out against City as well. But they've also had quite a few players who stepped up real well this season. Solanke's come in; he's done a fantastic job. Kulusevski was going into midfield, definitely got better than last season. Brennan Johnson has been pretty good this season as well. I mean, even the likes of Pape Sarr, he's been brilliant all round. A lot of those players have really stepped up this season, which is why I think they're a lot better than last season.
Liam, I'm going to ask you to do the impossible here. Like, Ange, can you guarantee a Spurs trophy this season?
No, absolutely not. He's absolutely not. It's Spurs. Let's not be real.
He's not taking you in the cup.
The Carabao
Cup, 100%.
is definitely a viable option, because the fact of the matter is, Spurs beat the Carabao Cup kings. And I mean, Spurs should have won a Carabao Cup under Ryan Mason if City hadn't done their fucking usual bullshit and paid the referees. This game was years ago, and I still remember it very vividly. Aymeric Laporte scored the fucking winner. Aymeric Laporte should not have been on the pitch. And I never will forget that day, because Ryan Mason, who coached for about 3 fucking games at that point, came in and should have beaten Pep Guardiola if not for their usual.
So instead of blaming it on the ref for helping City, why don't you blame it on the fact Tottenham sacked a renowned winner in Jose Mourinho?
Ryan Mason did the job on
Ryan Mason.
Literally 3 days before the final or something like that.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't great, but Ryan Mason still showed up and did an absolute spiffing job in that game.
But imagine it was Jose.
If it was Jose,
I
think you win that. I think you win that if it's Jose.
100%, without doubt. Jose would have won that cup final.
I don't think a lot of you forgot how terrible Spurs were at the end of Mourinho's reign. It was dire. It was Eric Dyer, as it were. No, seriously, it was generally Eric Dyer. It was all his fault.
It's always his fault.
It's always Eric Dyer's fault. I love that man. I still love him.
Right, so to finally sum up, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, all 3 teams in the title race. Chelsea firmly in for top 4, and Spurs no trophy.
Yeah.
We can deal with it.
Well, that's all we have for this week. Make sure to like and subscribe and put notifications on as well, so whenever we release, when they're out. So thank you to Chris and thank you to Liam for joining us, and thanks for Alfie back in the producer chair.
Enjoy the game over there.
1-1 now.
No, is it?
Oh my god! What a great end. We'll catch us all next week.